What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best PvP vehicles in GTA Online. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright, the very first vehicle on this list that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Nightshark. Now this vehicle will cost $1.24 million on the Warstock Cash and Carry website. Alright, so the Nightshark has a top speed of 105 miles per hour, which is not bad for an SUV/truck like this, especially since this is an armored vehicle. So this vehicle can take around 27 homing missiles to be destroyed, which is a lot of missiles. So it's going to be very difficult for oppressors to go after you because they won't have enough, ammo to be able to go and kill you. It can also take 9 RPGs, 23 rounds from an explosive sniper, and 5 shots from a tank. And the fact that it can take 5 shots from a tank means that this vehicle is very strong. Alright, so once you purchase the Nightshark, you're actually able to add the armored windows because it does not come with them automatically. So if you drive your Nightshark over to the Ellis Customs mod shop, you'll be able to add the window plating. Now, unfortunately, you're still going to be able to, get shot out of the Nightshark if you have the armor plated windows, but it's going to, reduce your chances of getting killed. So it's not going to be as effective as the armored Kuruma or other vehicles like that, but it's going to be better than nothing. Now here's a little quick tip. If you actually remove the window plating from your Nightshark, you'll be able to throw sticky bombs, throwables, grenades, and you'll be able to use your handheld weapons. So that's going to be very powerful when you want to take out enemies, especially in Oppressor Mark II, because if you just use your sticky bombs, you'll easily be able to blow them up because the Oppressor Mark II will blow up in one hit. Also, you'll be able to shoot other people while you're driving the Nightshark. Now the one downside to that is, of course, like I said earlier, you will not have any window protection, so it's going to be very easy to get shot out of it. But if you keep the window plating on, you'll be stuck using the machine guns, which are going to be very garbage. So I highly recommend removing the window plates so that you can be able to use sticky bombs in your pistols and stuff like that. Another thing about the Nightshark is that this vehicle is obviously a 4-seater, so it's going to be very good at transporting all of your friends whenever you're completing or doing missions in GTA Online. That means you'll all be able to get to the same place at the same exact time. But yeah, I highly recommend purchasing this vehicle because it's going to be a very strong PvP vehicle, because like I said earlier, it does take 27 homing missiles, which is a ton. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to get this because it's going to be a very strong weaponized vehicle. Alright, moving on to the next vehicle on the list. The next vehicle on this list is going to be the F-160 Raiju. Now this is going to be an armored fighter jet. Yes, finally, it's a plane. I'm sorry, I kept calling it a helicopter previously because it was an accident. But yeah, this is a fighter jet/plane. Now this vehicle has a top speed of 232 miles per hour /374 kilometers per hour, which at the moment, this is currently the fastest vehicle/plane in the whole entire game. So that means this is going to be the best way to travel around the map, especially if you're at the bottom of the map and you want to get to the top as fast as possible. You're going to want to use this vehicle. So yeah, this is definitely going to beat out the Oppressor Mark II and all the other vehicles because this vehicle is going to be the best means of transportation. Unfortunately, it's going to be extremely expensive. So without the trade price, you're going to have to pay $6.8 million, which is very close to $7 million, which is a ton of money. Now the trade price will cost you $5.1 million, which is a little bit better, but it's still going to be extremely expensive. Alright, so what is so special about this vehicle to be worth that much money? Well, for starters, this vehicle allows you to go into stealth mode, which literally allows you to hide yourself from the map. So that means other players will not be able to see your location on the map. They'll still be able to see you if they, see you with their eyes. But if you're in stealth mode, it's basically the same thing as going off the radar or ghost organization in GTA Online. This means that no one can find you, which is going to be very helpful. It also has vertical takeoff/VTOL, which means you can literally hover and take off basically instantly without needing to use the runway. So you know how most planes in the game, basically all of them, you're gonna have to use the runway just to, gain some momentum so that you can take off. But with this vehicle, if you're on controller, I believe if you hold down the left stick, you'll be able to immediately enter VTOL mode, which will allow you to just hover and take off. But yeah, this is essentially just hovering. So this allows you to easily, and this is going to help you a ton, especially when you're trying to take out enemies. This vehicle has the ability to have explosive machine guns and homing missiles. Now, unfortunately, the homing missiles are not going to be, extremely good, but The explosive machine guns are going to be your best friend in terms of getting rid of all of the enemies. So yeah, it's going to be very good at taking out enemies. So you're definitely going to want to use that as your primary weapon. It's going to be very good at clearing out tons of enemies. Alright, so the F-160 Raiju with full armor can take up to 3 homing missiles, which is not bad, but it's better than nothing. It can only take 1 RPG, and it can take 2 rounds from an explosive sniper. It's going to be pretty decent in terms of armor compared to, most vehicles in the game, because most of the planes can only take like 1 or 2 missiles, but this can take 3, so that's not that bad. Unfortunately, this plane is only a 1-seater, so unlike the Pyro and some other jets in GTA Online, how you can fit another player in, with this jet, you're unable to do that, so you're going to be able to only fly it solo, which is kind of a bummer. Alright, moving on to the next vehicle on the list. The next vehicle on this list is going to be the Bugatti Toreador. Now this vehicle is going to cost you about $4.2 million, which is a ton of money, but it's definitely going to be worth purchasing. Now I think this vehicle has a top speed of 135 miles per hour without the speed boost. Alright, so you may be wondering, why does this vehicle cost this much amount of money? Well, it's actually much different than a regular vehicle. Now this car actually has the ability to go underwater and literally convert into basically a submarine. So that's going to be very cool, especially when you want to escape from enemies or just go off-road into the water. Another thing about this vehicle is that if you're on controller, I believe if you click the left stick, you'll be able to speed boost, and that's going to allow you to go super fast, which is going to be actually fun to use. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a vehicle that you'll be able to go very quick in because it has the speed boost. Also, the Toreador has an infinite amount of missiles, so it literally doesn't run out of missiles. So unlike most vehicles in the game, once you run out of missiles, you're gonna have to either call back your vehicle or bring it back into your MOC or Terabyte in order to refill it. But with the Toreador, you literally will never have to do it. It has an infinite amount of missiles, which is actually very overpowered, because that is strange how this vehicle has no limit on missiles. Alright, so a fully armored Toreador can take up to 6 missiles, which is not bad. It's actually pretty good because the fact that this doesn't blow, because most vehicles in GTA blow up with 1 missile if they have homing missiles on the vehicle. But this vehicle, for some reason, is an exception. Since this vehicle has homing missiles, for some reason it's able to take 6 missiles from an oppressor. It can take 2 RPGs and 5 shots from a heavy sniper with the explosive rounds. So yeah, this is definitely going to be a decently armored vehicle. Not in terms of, window resistance, but it will have decent explosive resistance. Another thing about the Toreador is that it is fully bulletproof from the back. So it's going to be basically impossible for players to be able to shoot you from the back. Also, I forgot to mention the Toreador can fit up to 4 people. So this vehicle is a 4-seater. So this vehicle is going to be very good because, like I said earlier, it has homing missiles, which are infinite, by the way. It can fit up to 4 people. It also has the speed boost, and it can convert into a submarine and go underwater. So yeah, this vehicle is going to be extremely good, and you're definitely going to want to invest in purchasing this vehicle. And the last thing about this vehicle is that the Toreador doesn't have a special icon. So that means if you are watching someone on the map and they are inside of a Toreador, it's literally going to just show a white circle. It's not going to show a specific vehicle, which means players will not know what vehicle you're in, which allows you to gain the element of surprise. So you know how the Oppressor Mark II has a specific icon, so you can know exactly what vehicle that player is in. But with the Toreador, you literally will never know if they're in a Toreador until the last second. Alright, moving on to the next vehicle on the list. It's going to be the fully loaded Ruiner 2000, specifically the CEO Work Ruiner 2000. You may be asking, what is the difference between the CEO Work Ruiner 2000 and the regular one? Actually, before we get started, the price of this vehicle is going to cost you around $3.7 million, which is a lot of money, but it did used to cost probably around $5.7 million, which is a ton of money. Now for the trade price, you should be able to get it for $2.8 million, which is pretty affordable in my opinion for a vehicle like this. Alright, so the fully loaded Ruiner 2000 can take somewhere around 27 homing missiles. Not to mention, you are unable to get locked on to it whenever you're driving it. So let's say if an oppressor is trying to attack you, they won't be able to do that because it basically has a missile lock-on jammer, even though it doesn't literally, but you won't be able to get locked on to any vehicle whatsoever while you're inside of this vehicle. This makes it impossible for cargo griefers or Oppressor Mark II people to kill you. They won't be able to lock onto you. The only way they'll be able to get a kill on you is if they use free aim, and we all know Oppressor Mark II suck at doing that. It can also take a ton of RPGs. I think it's somewhere around 8 to 10 or maybe more, I'm not sure. But I do know that this vehicle is extremely strong and it can take a lot of damage from RPGs, homing missiles, and stuff like that. Alright, so let's talk about what the vehicle can actually do. So the vehicle has unlimited homing missiles, literally. So you'll never run out, similar to the Toreador, except these homing missiles are going to be probably one of the best type of homing missiles in the entire game. Because there are a couple of different tiers of homing missiles in the game. There are buzzard missiles, which are the worst missiles. And then there are the Deluxo, Scramjet, and Vigilante/Ruiner 2000 missiles. And these missiles are going to be the best missiles in the entire game because these missiles have extremely accurate tracking and they will basically never miss their target. It also has a jump ability, so if you're on controller, you just click the left stick and your car will just literally jump in the air. So that is kind of cool. And then you're also able to use the parachute while you're in this. So you should be able to see in the gameplay, hopefully if I remember to put it up, you'll be able to have a parachute and you'll easily be able to fly around the map. And that is kind of fun in my opinion. Now, before Rockstar Games added the missile lock-on jammer to, GTA Online, this vehicle was literally the greatest vehicle in my opinion, other than, the laser jet and the Hydra with its explosive cannons. But with the Ruiner 2000 back then, this vehicle was the greatest because nobody had a missile lock-on jammer. So you could easily lock onto anyone and no one else could lock onto you. But now with the newest edition with the lock-on jammers, it's more common to see the lock-on jammer on people's vehicles. So it's going to be, kind of difficult to lock onto them if they have that enabled. But in Oppressor Mark IIs, Deluxos, any vehicle that people would, go after you or grief you in, you can easily use the Ruiner 2000 to lock onto them because they won't have a missile lock-on jammer and you'll be able to easily blow them up. Alright, moving on to the last thing on this list. The last thing on this list is going to be the TM02 Khanjali tank. Now, as we all know, the tank is very, very overpowered because literally no one will be able to shoot you out of it. You're completely bulletproof. So you're going to easily be able to attack ground targets because those people won't even stand a single chance against you because they won't be able to shoot you out of the tank. You can purchase the Khanjali tank for $3.8 million, but if you somehow unlock the trade price, you'll be able to pay about $2.9 million, which is not bad considering how powerful this vehicle is, but it's definitely going to be worth it in terms of PvP. The top speed of this vehicle is probably somewhere around 40 miles per hour, but since it is a tank, you can't expect it to be super duper quick. Alright, so if you have a fully armored Khanjali tank, you'll be able to, take 8 homing missiles from an Oppressor Mark II, which is very decent. Unfortunately, you'll probably be a sitting duck if you're matched up against an Oppressor Mark II, but if you are taking out targets who are on foot or in vehicles, you'll easily be able to get rid of them. It can also take 8 RPGs, 19 shots from an explosive round heavy sniper, and 4 shots from a tank. But yeah, anyone you're matched up against, especially ground targets, you'll easily be able to wipe them out and no one is going to stand a chance. But I think you need to own a facility in order to, use this tank. And you definitely need a facility in order to customize your tank inside of the vehicle workshop, which is kind of annoying considering there's most likely a paywall in order to purchase this vehicle. Alright, so once you purchase the tank, I believe it's going to come with the stock cannons, which are probably not going to be the best weapon to use. So I highly recommend adding the railgun cannon. Now I believe it's going to cost anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000, but it's definitely going to be a lot more worth it. So if you hold, I believe, the left bumper button on your controller, you'll be able to charge up your weapon. But yeah, you can charge up the railgun cannon and it's going to allow you to shoot further. And it's probably going to make your cannon much stronger. You can also add secondary weapons such as a remote grenade launcher, and you won't be able to use them unfortunately, but passengers will be able to use them, so that is going to be cool. You can also add proximity mines, and then you can just click the left stick on controller, and then you'll just be able to drop one behind you, and then whoever runs into it obviously will blow up. But yeah, these are definitely going to help you if you want to get rid of anyone who is following you. These are going to be very, very good. And yeah, the Khanjali tank can fit up to 4 people. So you're going to be able to drive all of your friends or other people inside of your vehicle. And they all should be able to use some type of weapon in order to attack other players. I believe that is all for this video. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment down below and consider checking out this video on your screen. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and have a great day.